Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Beyonce won Best Country Album of the Year for her album Cowboy Carter during this year's Grammy Awards. The Queen Bee says the album is a Beyonce album, but it also pushed boundaries, redefined country music, and amplified the voices of Black artists and women. The fact is, country music has always been influenced by Black artists, even though they have been largely excluded from the genre for decades. Up next on Another View, country music singer-songwriter Roberta Lea. Let me tell you, you're in for a treat. From her original music to her work with the Black Opry and her determination to share the history of African Americans in the country music space. But first, it's time to show your love for Another View by becoming a member of WHRO Public Media. Joining me to talk about our spring membership drive are producers Lisa Godley and Dr. Barry Graham. Hey, you guys, how you doing?
Hi there.
Hey.
Hi there. We're excited about today's show. We're excited about this drive. We're just excited.
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170. That's the number to call to make your pledge of support. Now, I know there are a bunch of you all out there who have been listening because you tell me when I'm out and about how much you love the show. And then when I say, are you a member? And they go, oh, I got to get around to that. Barry, tell them they got to get around to that.
Absolutely. You don't have to do the dance anymore. You can just look right in Barbara's eyes and say, yes, I do support that station, because Barbara, so many people talk to me and tell me, how much they enjoy and appreciate this show. I'm proud to be a part of the team. We want to make you able to say, I'm proud that I also support it. So call in that contribution.
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170. Lisa, I know you get the same types of responses at times, don't you?
Everywhere I go, people can tell me who was on the show, what they talked about, how much they enjoyed it. And then when I ask, are you a member? I'm going to get to that, Lisa. I really am. This is your time to get to it. And we have a $2,000 match today. So, let's not leave any money on the table.
Yes, please.
Let's match that dollar for dollar. So whatever your pledge is, we're going to match that today. So make sure you do that. I want to challenge all my Norfolk State Spartans. We're MEAC champions to make that pledge of support today. So we're excited about that. 1-800-940-7170. You can also go to WHRV.org or the WHRO app. So
absolutely. And congratulations to the green and gold.
Woohoo,
yes, we're excited about that. That's very clear. And I'm going to challenge my Bennett Bell sisters out there. And there are a whole bunch of us who live in the Hampton Roads area. So if you went to Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina, now is the time to call Support Your Bennett Bell Sister. Give us a call, 800-940-7170. Barry.
And all those Norview High alumni, because like Roberta Lea, I also went to Norview High. So let's hear from all of you. Look, if you enjoy the program, and I'm going to double check, I think we have another View shirt this year.
Yes, we do.
Another View t-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a great gift of appreciation.
Absolutely. You can
nice
really
t-shirt.
show your pride, how proud you are of the show by wearing the Another View t-shirt.
And let me tell you guys, it is very different from the Another View shirts that we've had in the past. It is a V-neck, first of all, which I love.
Yep,
and it just it's very subtle, but it just has Another View radio and with our logo on it, and it looks really, really nice, and it's in a cool black color. So that I think it is. Do you guys know the price point?
I'll pull the pledge sheet.
Yeah,
the pledge sheet. Make sure we give the right info on that. I'll pull it.
Exactly. But call in, make your pledge of support at whatever level is comfortable for you, and become a sustainer if you can. The majority now, I believe, of all of our members, almost half, okay, are sustainers, which means that you give us a number. You'd give us your credit card or your bank statement, and we will charge that amount every month. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to go, oh, is it time for me to renew or whatever? And we'll just keep doing it until you tell us to stop. So you do have total control over when you want us to start and when you want us to stop. But if you can become a sustainer, that helps WHRO with budgeting and with planning, and it also helps you, and it helps us to help the environment so we don't kill so many trees. So there you go. 1-800-940-7170. That's the number to call to become a member. I was getting ready to say to join our conversation, but that's another number, which we'll give later on in the show. Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really excited about today's show. I was listening as she was rehearsing a little bit in here, and I am so excited to hear her sing. Roberta Lea, folks. So this is the show. Today's Another View. Make sure you love this show, and if you turned on the radio one Thursday and we weren't here, you'd go, "Oh my gosh!" But we know you're going to make sure that doesn't happen. So pick up the phone, give us a call, 1-800-940-7170. You can jump on the WHRO app, or you can go to WHRV.org and pledge your support.
Okay, we're about 30 seconds away from the beginning of the show. And for those of you who are country music fans, you're going to love it. And those of you who think you are not, you are in for a treat. Trust me. You want to stick around to hear about Roberta Lea. But in the meantime, give us a call, 1-800-940-7170 or WHRO.org.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Lee. It's our favorite time of year, the time when we welcome you to the Another View family through your membership with WHRO Public Media. Now, during this next hour, we have a $2,000 challenge. We raise $2,000, and a generous donor will give us an additional $2,000. So your pledge is doubled up to $2,000. 1-800-940-7170 is the number to call to make your pledge of support. Thank you in advance for supporting this program and all of the programs that you hear on WHRV FM. Also want to tell you very quickly about another community event. I'm always trying to keep us healthy, and there will be a women's health fair on March the 22nd. It is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at First Baptist Church, Lambert's Point in Norfolk, and they are going to be talking about they're going to have 50 plus vendors. The Brahaha at ODU will be there. They're doing risk assessments. It's all about on-site mammograms, and it is talking about the hidden haven of triple negative breast cancer. You know, breast cancer runs very prevalent in the Black community, especially Black women, and so this is something that will give you information that you need to know. That's this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., First Baptist Church, Lambert's Point in Norfolk. And I also want to invite you to join me this Friday, that's tomorrow, at Christopher Newport University as their Department of Arts and Humanities presents the Conference on Women and Gender, Telling Women's Stories. I have the honor of being the keynote speaker at 1 p.m. The conference is open to the public. Visit cnu.edu/CWG for more information, and I hope to see you in the audience. All I can say is Roberta Lea is simply awesome. I first experienced her music at a home concert in Suffolk during the holidays, and it was truly magical. She's young, creative, and grounded in her music and songwriting, and we are so happy to have her here with us today on Another View. Hey, Roberta.
Hey, Miss Barbara Lea.
How are you?
I'm excited to be here. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Oh, my goodness. I am so thrilled. So, you know what? I think what I want to do, since we've been talking so much about how great you sound, let's start with the song first, and then we'll get into the conversation. So you want to introduce it and tell us which one you're going to play?
Okay, I'm going to do Somewhere in the Tide first.
Okay. All right.
This song I wrote dedicated to Virginia, this very beautiful and diverse place that I get to call home, and dedicated to the legendary musicians who have come from this space. And so they say, oh man, there must be something in the water, right? Because we have, Ella Fitzgerald and Patsy Cline and, the list kind of just goes on and on.
And Roberta Lea.
And Roberta Lea is hoping to be in that, she's hoping to be in the water too. So I wrote this one. It's called Somewhere in the Tide.
Okay.
brush the Shenandoah sky, an exhibition in the gallery that is massive and divine. We are tall and we are rooted like the Appalachian trees, but as the river we are powered by the pull of mighty seas. The waves are being lifted and the sand is being shifted for treasure that is waiting to be found. If dreams are somewhere in the distance, love is somewhere within reach. Someday will be the lesson that somebody else will teach. And if there's someone on the mountaintop, somehow we'll make the climb. If there's something in the water, then I'm somewhere in the tide. Every footprint on the short line is a story to be heard. All the grain and all the gravel could account for every word. In a land that is for lovers, there is room for every kind. Every voice, every heart, every soul and every mind. The waves are being lifted and the sand is being sifted for treasure that is waiting to be found. If dreams are somewhere in the distance, love is somewhere within reach. Someday will be the lesson that somebody else will teach. And if there's someone on the mountaintop, somehow we'll make the climb. If there's something in the water, then I'm somewhere in the tide. What is happening? Can you feel the gravity? A rising tide is lifting all the boats. If dreams are somewhere in the distance, love is somewhere within reach. Someday will be the lesson that somebody else will teach. And if there's someone on the mountaintop, somehow we'll make the climb. If there's something in the water, then I'm somewhere in the tide.
Simply beautiful. The control room is clapping. Everybody's clapping. Why country music and why now?
Great question. I feel like when it comes to art, sometimes it's beyond intention. It's just a natural and organic happenstance. And that's what happened for me, honestly. It was always music. I was always doing music. And I don't think I ever really gave myself a particular genre and said, I am a R&B singer, I am a pop singer. No, I've never done that. It was I would just make music. And after a while, the keyboard was my main instrument. And I wanted to start performing in open mics, and it was a little hard to lug a keyboard everywhere. So I said, okay, well, I'll get my chops on the guitar. So as I started to perform more on guitar, I started to write more on guitar. And it's a very difficult instrument to play. So it's easier to kind of hover around the open chords like G's and the C's and C major, D major, etc. And those just so happen to be chords that are very popular in country music, right? And so it's just kind of happened, and next thing you know, people are listening and they're like, man, you have a country vibe to you. And I'm like, do I? And so really I was just taking the feedback from the audiences, feedback from people who heard my music. They're like, yeah, you lean towards country.
Now you didn't, but your first career was actually in the classroom, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was a teacher.
What did you teach?
I used to teach Spanish in high school.
And so would you write on the side? And where did the music piece of that come from?
So, I mean, music for a really long time, played violin and elementary, middle school, high school, and then had a keyboard. Played around church, I was going to church as a teenager, and they need you to play anything. They need somebody on something on Sunday. You know how church is. It's like, pick up an instrument
and go for it.
And so that's where I really started to get into that space of songwriting, because, whenever it wasn't Sunday, the church building would be open, but it was very busy. So you get up on the stage and you play around on the drums, play around on the bass, play around on the keyboard. And so that's kind of where I really started to build and develop myself as a musician.
Wow, that's it. Your voice is beautiful.
Thank
first
you.
of all, but I think that when Regina Brayboy, who was the person that had the party,
shout out to Regina.
Yeah, absolutely. But when she called me and she said, "You've got to come hear this young lady, and we're going to do it at the house," it was just such an intimate, wonderful space with great people to be able to listen to your music. But you speak a lot in your music about empowerment and about women. Is that something that is just connects with you?
Again, I think it's just the organic unfolding of, there doesn't have to be a lot of thought and intention to say, I am going to talk about this. I poured out from experience, from life, that's the story that my spirit wanted to tell. And then I had the intention on how I decided to craft it and present it to the world. But my songs just pour out. Anything could be an inspiration, and I write it, and then I'll take the time to actually fashion it in a way that tells a story. So again, being a woman, it's not hard. It's not hard. That's exactly where not that being a woman isn't hard, but it's not hard to tell the story of.
Exactly, because it's coming from experience.
Exactly.
757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Those are the numbers to call to join our conversation. We're talking with country music singer, songwriter Roberta Lea. But one of the other things that's really important to you, Roberta, is that people understand that Black people belong in the country music space.
Absolutely.
And talk to us a little bit about that, because I know you're involved with the Black Opry. What is that, and how does that help also shape your career as you're going forward?
Absolutely. Well, shout out to the Black Opry. I've been a part of the Black Opry since the beginning in 2021, and we are a collective of Black artists that do all manner of roots music: country, folk, rock and roll, just anything that in which that would be considered outside of the box for a Black artist. And what's strange about that is that American music is Black music. There would be no popular American music without the Black voice, and that includes country music. And so our history when it comes to the arts in America is very rich and very diverse. And the genre and the development of sales was based on segregation. I usually tell people that country music and R&B are like twins that were separated at birth.
And that is true, because when you listen to country music, you still feel that R&B vibe.
I mean, listen to it.
You can't help it.
A prime example there are two prime examples of that. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. That was written by Dolly Parton. Country music queen, R&B queen. And they both slay the same song. The same song is slayed by two completely different artists, two completely different genres, because Dolly released it as a country song first. And then when 20 years later, I think, is when Whitney Houston, Whitney Houston picked it up. And that's one of the biggest R&B records of all time, is I Will Always Love You. So just looking at that. And then there's a fun fact that I didn't know. My sister was at a Boyz II Men concert. My sister was at a Boyz II Men concert, and they were talking about the next song they were going to sing, and they said, hey, this song was written for us, but we turned it down. And Lone Star picked it up, and it went #1 on country radio.
Oh, wow.
Every Little Thing Amazed by You.
Oh,
you know that song?
Yes,
Every little thing that you did.
Yes.
I'm so in love with you. That was written for an R&B group. It was written for Boyz II Men.
And a country artist
blew it up.
Wow.
Twins separated at birth.
So why did that separation happen? What was that about?
They had to sell. So now, so first, music was just an organic expression, right? People had a very long day at work. They'd get home, they'd get on the banjo on the front porch and sit there and sing, and people in the neighborhood
and the
would come.
banjo even came from African roots.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so many times slaves, and the enslaved would get done, and that was their party, was a banjo on the front porch. And that party, unfortunately, that party was taken and turned into minstrel shows. Yeah. And so minstrel shows that we know of, in which there are white actors in blackface, and they have the banjo. What are they doing? They're mocking black people. That's what all minstrel shows were. The basis of entertainment, and the foundation of entertainment, unfortunately, was the mockery of black people, right? And so they get on the banjo and they're like, haha, I'm this goofy black guy, and da-da-da-da. Right. Well, those minstrel shows start to get really popular. They start getting very popular, right? And so now the association of the banjo goes to the white actors that are on stage. And then they come up with this recording device. Now they're capable of actually taking those sounds and recording them, putting on records and selling them. So once marketing had to take place, right, now there is the conscious effort of which audiences I'm going to choose to market to. So you could have the same exact style. They had guitars, they had slide guitars, they had banjos. But if you were a white artist, they will call your style hillbilly music. Right. And if you were a black artist playing the same instrument, singing the same style, they would simply call you race records. Hillbilly music turned to country, race records turned into R&B. So it was marketing. It had nothing to do with style. It had nothing to do with origins. It was all about marketing. Well, we're selling these records to certain people.
And when I was doing the research, there were even black artists. At one point, black and white artists would play together.
Absolutely.
But then the black artist would be taken out of the record, or at least not acknowledged.
Not acknowledged or taken off of the credits. Absolutely. I mean, Elvis. Right. We look at Elvis. We look at his story. I saw that the movie that came out. It's very interesting. But I feel like that's kind of just a prime example of he really did grow up in Memphis around black people. He was Mark. There's that online social media joke, like all these beautiful black people and then Mark, right? So he was Mark. He really just grew up going to the churches, hanging out with black people, and really just had that influence. But the marketing and the business and the selling of him took precedence over.
So now today, there's a whole group, a genre. Well, before I get to that point. So who is your audience right now? Your audience and the Black Opry audience. Is it predominantly white? Is it predominantly black? Is it a mixture? Who is it?
That's a great question. Predominantly Black Opry shows, when you are promoting country music, you're going to have a majority white audience. There is still a frontier to introduce and to connect black people to country music. And there's a few reasons why. Number one, for me, it's about the stories within country music. It's one thing to be a black artist that sings country music. It's another thing to be a black artist that sings black stories in country music. And so my audience individually, and it's grown, especially after, Beyonce, but not just Beyonce, but Brittany Spencer has been doing great work. Mickey Guyton has been doing great work. Reese Palmer has been doing great work. There have been black women out here doing incredible work for a really long time and bridging those connections. But my particular artist is extremely diverse, and I account that to my intention on making sure that our stories are embedded and infused in the country song, right? I don't have stories about bars and breakup. My husband is my one and only. So that's my three chords and my truth. So when I am writing songs like Spades, or when I am singing about Uncle Nearest instead of Jack Daniel, like I'm pretty intentional about that. And so when black people hear those songs, they're like, okay, I see myself in this space now too. And that invites everyone to be able to come in and to enjoy the music.
Do you do anything special to market? In other words, do you find it difficult to get black people to say, okay, I'm going to take a listen? Because you have this group of some black folks that are like all in, and then you have folks like country, really?
Yeah. But you know what? After I get it a lot after a show, after people hear my music, they're like, I really wasn't into country, but I like your version of country music. Mm-hmm. And that's really special to me. That's very humbling to me because it tells me that there's a something that's connecting with people that's just beyond a good song. There's a formula to making a good song. So, a beat, beats per minute and it's catchy, or a hook and all that kind of stuff. But be able to reach someone. And country music, unfortunately, for a really long time has been that genre. It doesn't matter who I ask the question, I'm like, what kind of music do you listen to? I will always get this answer in the range of, I like just about everything except country. It will always be, I like all sorts of music except country, though. Like, it would always kind of just get put into that space. Mm-hmm. And so for people to respond to my particular style and to respond to Black Opry and say, man, I'm finally hearing stories that I genuinely connect with. That I think it kind of speaks to itself.
So we're getting ready to go to another pledge break in just a little bit, but let's hear one more song before we go out, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So which one are we going to listen to here?
This is Too Much of a Woman.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
We're going to dedicate this one to you, Barbara. All right, this is Too Much of a Woman. So, and our listeners out there, this is to encourage you to take up space in the world that's always trying to tell you to keep your place. So... Too loud and too strong, too much attitude. I better learn how to play along before your ego ends up bruised. I'm sorry to tell you, brother, I'm not living for your comfort. You can go crying to your mother. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. If I'm too much of a woman, you can kindly step aside. A true king can handle me. He's got what it takes inside. Well, I hate to disappoint you. By now you should understand. If I'm too much of a woman, boy, you're too little of a man. If I'm too much of a woman, if I'm too much of a woman, too big or too small, we can never measure up. The lips, the eyes, the hips, the thighs. I'm tired of all of your nipping and tuck. You keep me in a cage, but you don't like to hear me roar. Well, it's time to break the silence. I can't take it no more. If I'm too much of a woman, you can kindly step aside. A true king can handle me. He's got what it takes inside. Well, I hate to disappoint you. By now you should understand. If I'm too much of a woman, you're too little of a man. Yeah, hey, hey, hey. If I'm too much of a woman, trying to appease you had me out of my mind. I won't let it happen this time. If I'm too much of a woman, you can kindly step aside. A true king can handle me. He's got what it takes inside. Well, I hate to disappoint you. By now you should understand. If I'm too much of a woman, boy, if I'm too much of a woman, baby, if I'm too much of a woman, boy, you're too little of a man. Happy Women's History Month.
Absolutely, absolutely. That song just reminds me so much of when I was single and I would go out and guys would find out that I worked in media and in television news at that time. And they would say, I can't be with you. I can't handle it. And I'm like,
okay, move.
Exactly.
Go
That
ahead,
song.
move along.
I wish that I had had your song back then.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're enjoying the soulful sounds of country music singer-songwriter Roberta Lea, who's from right here in Hampton Roads. We'll get back to the music shortly, but first, let's check in with Lisa Godley for an update on how we're doing with our pledge drive.
It's coming in slow, Barbara.
It is. Yes. Oh, they do this to us every year.
Yes.
Yes.
Every pledge, and then all of a sudden it becomes a big avalanche. So come on, it's avalanche time.
We don't blame you for being distracted with the music,
it's
okay?
easy to be distracted today,
during this moment, you should go to your phone.
1-800-940-7170. We need you, those of you who are not members of WHRO Public Media, to please become a member. It is your membership support that keeps this show and others like Barry's show and all of the shows that we do here on WHRV. You are the reason why we're able to do this. So we need your support. 1-800-940-7170.
And we have a $2,000 match. So, hey.
That's right. We don't want to give $2,000 back.
No, we don't.
We really don't.
And if you will contribute today at the $96 level or sustaining level of $8, you can get the Another View t-shirt. All right. So we nailed on that. For your contribution of $96, sustainer $8 a month, you get to proudly wear the Another View V-neck t-shirt. And yes, I have seen it. And yes, it's cool looking.
Yes, it feels good. It looks good.
It does. It does. And the sustainer means that you would pay $8 per month, but via credit card or direct debit from your checking account, and then you don't have to worry about it. You're a member. You keep going. You get the cool t-shirt. But the main thing is you also get to say, I am a part of the reason why Another View is on the air. You listen to the show differently. You experience it differently when you are a member. And I'm not saying this because I'm on the air. I'm saying it because I am a member. Just like Lisa is a member, just like Barry and Christy and everyone, practically the entire staff are members of WHRV or WHRO Public Media. So please don't let us down, because Another View always comes through. And every pledge drive, we are delivering numbers that, we're pretty proud of. So we want to be proud of this again. 1-800-940-7170. Or if you're listening on your computer, go to WHRO.org and make your pledge of support there.
Yeah, just remember, we have a $2,000 match, and it's just for the hour. So this is your time to pledge your support. We're counting on you.
Sometimes we do have to remind people with these pledge drives, this is the public radio model. The reason why we're able to have a public radio station here in the area is because the community has responded in support over the years. So this is just the way, the model is set up for public radio. You create it, and if there's enough support from the community to sustain it, then in fact it does. So we're asking you to support great programs here that once again, every Thursday, let me tell you the hard work I see that goes in. I promise you that Lisa and Barbara do not come into this studio, an hour before the show and say, all right, let's figure this all out. No, it goes on all week. There's a lot of planning and a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to make sure it airs. But the real thing that needs to go on is community support.
Absolutely. And same thing for you, Barry, because you do not one but two shows, right?
Yeah, I have two. And I promise you, I don't show up a minute before it with a stack of CDs.
1-800-940-7170. Your pledge of support allows us to bring great people like Roberta Lea to the air. You can get a chance to sample some of her music and also have intellectual conversation about why things are happening in our area. So give us a call, 1-800-940-7170. Make your pledge of support. We're going to go back to the show and listen to some more music and talk some more with Roberta Lea, country music songwriter and singer and beautiful soul. So there you go. Hey, Roberta. So I want to ask you, so when Lil Nas came out with
Old Town Road.
Yes, thank you. Old Town Road. To me, that was one of the first times that I had seen even little kids, because I remember being at a community block party and someone played it and there was a line dance that went along with it. Because there you go, country line dance, line dances that we do, and so forth. There's that connection again. But the combination of adding R&B, rap, hip hop to country music, it's an evolution, would you say, of the music, or what
I
are you
guess
thinking?
we could technically say that's an evolution, but the more I dive into country music, the more I realize it's actually not that far-fetched. It's actually not that new. Genre blending has been around for so long. And so whenever a Black artist does it, it's like, why all the surprise? Artists of all backgrounds and all genres have been blending genres for a very long time. And the only spaces that are so connected to the idea of a purified version of music are those who have to market the music, those who have to sell the music, those who have to play the music, right? It's like, okay, well, is this country? Is this hip hop? Do I sell it to this audience? Do I pitch it to that audience?
Instead of why can't we pitch it to everybody?
Like, you know, and just let it organically take place. So, but you know, that was revolutionary in terms of the conversation that it began as to why he didn't get to keep his place on Billboard, you know, and get the recognition that he deserved. But honestly, that's not quite new under the sun. Some of Dolly Parton, you know, Patsy Cline, I listened to their old records. I'm like, as far as genre, they were all over the place. They would do country, they do gospel, they do pop, they do jazz, they do, you know. I'm just like, they've been doing this for forever. You know, why does that gate have to close depending on the artist? So.
On the artist itself. You know, I read something when I was doing my research, and it really struck me when they said Shania Twain and Keith Urban are not Americans, but the country music audience accepted them, no questions asked.
No questions asked.
But when Black artists, Shabuzi and others come forth, now there's this uproar over, what are you doing? Why are you in our space?
You're not country. You're not country. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes it has you back the question. I mean, Shabuzi had an incredible year. It was very disheartening to see him that he didn't take home any awards from the CMAs, that he didn't take home. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he got his Grammy nominations as well. But his breakout year was outstanding. Outstanding.
So what do you think it's going to take to change that? I mean, is it going to be pushback from the audience, or is it going to be, because we know what the marketing is, because we've seen that all along. But when the audience starts to buy into that marketing too, that becomes a problem.
It's a shame, because I don't even think the issue is the audience.
Okay.
Like I said, our Black Opry shows, we do a Black Opry show in Vermont, it will sell out a show, you know, sell out a venue, it's majority white people. Yeah. So if there's a what's the word I'm looking for? Where they're trying to create this boogeyman where the issue's over here. The issue's not over there. There's plenty of audiences that have fully embraced the Black Opry, that embraced Shabuzi, that embraced Kane Brown. I remember his manager, they were on a interview, a podcast, and now it wasn't the audiences. He blew up on, Kane Brown blew up on social media before radio even got hold of him. He was selling out stadiums. But when she took him to do radio interviews, the radio director say, I'm not interviewing him. He's not country. Yeah. Right. So it's really what's the issue going on at the top, and why are they being so stubborn at the top when it comes to making space for other people? Do you not want the money? I mean, it's not like these people aren't playing money, and you have an opportunity to open your market to such broader audiences. So it really begs the question: what's the real issue here?
So how you market your music online? I see you're on Spotify. You're on all the podcast downloads and music platforms. Are you also working with a label at this point?
No, I'm completely independent.
Are you going to stay that way, you think?
We'll see how long. I would like to, honestly. I've heard my shares of, there's lots of conversations. There was one particular interest, and I got a contract that was like this thick. And I don't know if they thought that I wasn't planning on reading it, but I did. I ran through, had my highlighter. Right. I'm like, what does this mean? What does that mean?
Don't sign anything you don't know.
Absolutely. And so, that's been a conversation, of course, but then I've also gotten lots of feedback from other artists who have had opportunities to work with labels. And it's not all, a label essentially is a loan. A label is essentially, we have the money, we have the capital to support your career. And then it will trade you for your masters, will trade you for your music. Until you pay us back on the loan, and then some. So it's a loan plus interest.
So
right?
being independent, you keep your music is all belongs
your
to
music
you.
is all you. You keep your masters. You keep your rights. You have creative control. And so as long as this projection, this progress continues to rise up for me, my husband and I, when I told him I wanted to do music full time, we were like, okay, let's give it 5 years and see how we're doing in 5 years. And if it's going up, we'll keep to it.
And so you're growing.
We're growing.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
So now I understand that you had something to do, or at least an opportunity to have something to do with Cowboy Carter.
I did. That was a wonderful opportunity. I was invited to write on that record, and it was just a privilege to be invited into the room.
So when you're a singer and a songwriter, you're running around, you're doing a lot of performances right now because I see you everywhere, which is great. But how do you balance writing and performing? I mean, or are you in the green room before you get ready to go on the air or on the stage? Are you back there, penning a song?
Right. Where most of my songs kind of take root is on the road driving.
Really?
Yeah. We'll be on the road. It's a quiet space. It's very hypnotic, right? You kind of get into a zone, and I'll just press record on my phone and record a couple of different hook ideas and melodies and thoughts. And there's a couple of times I could complete an entire song while I'm on the road. You got 3-4 hours to yourself, So surprisingly, that's kind of where I get a lot of it done. But I have to be intentional about turning on my songwriter brain versus there's a different brain as a songwriter than the producer brain, than the performance brain. There's different parts that I have to access when it's time to do.
Do you get nervous when you're performing?
It comes and goes. This Sunday, I was a little nervous. It was pretty big. It was a pretty decent crowd on Sunday. I mean, not Sunday. On Tuesday, this past Tuesday, I had the privilege to perform at the Cultural Arts Center in Glen Allen, and it was a wonderful crowd. Oh. And so, I felt the jitters a little bit, but it's more excitement than it is fear, because I used to teach high school, and the worst crowd that you ever have to speak in front of are teenagers on the first day of school. They are the hardest nut to crack.
I'll bet Dr. Barry Graham back there is shaking his head. Yes.
Barry understands me. They are the hardest nut to crack. So I mastered cracking teenagers on the first day of school. I was such a wild teacher. I wasn't like bound by SOLs and testing and stuff. So I got to do whatever I wanted as a Spanish teacher. So I had them up and moving the first day. Like, we're playing games. We're moving the tables and chairs around. We're standing up. We're sitting down. We're having a good time. And so once I knew how to crack the code on the toughest audience ever, by the time you get to audiences that are actually there to listen to you,
you feel, I got them.
This is easy. You actually want to be here, right? So, yeah.
Is there anything that has ever happened to you while you were on stage that you went, oh boy, how do I cover this? Or, ever forget a word or forget?
Oh yeah, this past Tuesday.
What happened?
So I usually open my set with Somewhere in the Tide, but since Roberta Flack passed away, I've been opening my sets with Killing Me Softly.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
And so I've been practicing that song for forever, but I've never done it in public before. So this past Sunday, I was playing it on guitar, and because it was an acoustic set, and I went blank on the chords, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, and so I'm just trying to fumble and figuring it out, but I just went completely blank on the chord progression. So on Tuesday, when my band was there, the other musicians were there, I told the guitarist, I was like, do you know Killing Me Softly? He's like, yeah, I got you. I'm like, okay. If you can do it, because I'm like, I clearly fumbled the bag on Sunday. I'm not going to touch the guitar. I'll let you play, and I'll just sing to him playing on the guitar. So when he starts in a key that I wasn't used to playing in. I was used to playing in E minor. He was playing E flat minor. So he was playing a key that was a step lower than I was used to. So I started singing and I was off key. And I was like, so, wait a minute. I was like, finally we got into the groove. And not only that, because that's the key that he was used to playing, I was used to playing, and we had put it all together like just before the show started. I was like, hey, real quick, can you do that? So not only that, but I forgot to tell the sound engineer that I needed the guitar in my monitors, so I couldn't hear him. So I'm over here trying to hear him he's behind me, and he has his guitar amp so he could hear himself, but I can't hear him. And I forgotten to ask for guitar in my monitor. So it was a bit of a mess, not only to open up the show, but for the tribute to Roberta Flack. I'm like, oh my God, come on.
So what did you do? How did you handle it with the audience? Do you think they knew, or did they?
Some folks said that they didn't notice. But for just in case, we had some folks who did. I don't know. Working with teenagers has gotten me used to learning how to play things off and joke. Not only that, but being vulnerable and joke on myself. I dragged myself for the first couple. After that, I dragged myself for a few more songs. And because about the fourth song in the set was Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And so I was like, well, I have a cover. And I'm like, I know it was a little rough on that first cover, but I promise.
Got you.
So you just have to have that intuition on how to laugh at yourself. It happens. It's happened to tons of people. It happens to major artists on some of the biggest stages in the world. And if you don't know how to roll with the punches while you're on this level, then you're not ready for the next, for sure.
I'm watching the time only because I want to hear one more song before we're done, but we're okay right now. When oh gosh, my brain just went, the question just went right out of my head. Okay, let's go ahead and do another song.
Okay.
And this one, I think that every girl that's what it was about. Oh. Your storytelling. So as you prepare to sing this song, you always tell a story before you sing a song. Is that just part of your act, if you will, or is that something that also comes natural to
it does. It comes naturally. Being a teacher, I had to learn how to explain the context to students, because a lot of times, I hope it's okay that I tune while a lot of times, kids will be like, why I need to know this? What it got to do with, So as a teacher, you get kind of used to giving kids context so they can connect with the material that they're learning. And so I find that it's made its way into my set, into my performances, to give people a reason to connect to the song.
And do you think about that as you're writing the song, or is that just something that just comes? So one story, you could tell a story about the song and then do the song another day with a different story. Okay, gotcha.
We're humans are natural storytellers. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let's hear this one.
It's Girl Trip. Okay, we were talking about public radio. There is some, this one's. Okay.
I think it's okay. I'll listen
think
to this one. Yeah, I think this one's okay.
Okay. I'll switch it up a little bit, change a little here and there. We'll see.
Yes, it's about that time. I'm ready to clear my mind, braid my hair. I'll be packing light bikini and a bottle of wine. Yes, gonna call my friends a Molotov cocktail special blend. Sisters hellbound to knowing, ladies, let the fun begin. Get your tickets, time to fly. Leave behind that 9 to 5. Pop the drinks and let's get lit. It's time for another girl trip. Book the rooms at the hotel. Set aside some cash for bail. Bad behavior, let it rip. It's time for another girl trip. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. It's time for another girl trip. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. It's time for another girl trip. First, we always need the mama to keep us together and control the drama. Wisdom and grace like Michelle Obama. You know she's gonna be on you. Next, we're gonna need the baddie, pushing the limits, embarrassing daddy, teaching us all how to have some fun. I just hope we're ready. Hey, get your tickets, time to fly. Leave behind that 9 to 5. Pop the drinks and let's get lit. It's time for another girl trip. Book the rooms at the hotel. Set aside some cash for bail. Bad behavior, let it rip. It's time for another girl trip. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. It's time for another girl trip. Last but certainly not least, the friend who's always got a drink. Her kind of party's never over, at least until she's sober. We're losing our composure, drowning in the oasis. Name a better place than this. Get your tickets, time to fly. Leave behind that 9 to 5. Pour the drinks and let's get lit. It's time for another girl trip. Book the rooms at the hotel. Set aside some cash for bail. Bad behavior, let it rip. It's time for another girl trip. Yeah, 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 say yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah, say yeah, yeah. It's time for another girl trip. Yes, it's about that time. I'm ready to clear my mind, braid my hair. I'll be packing a light bikini and a bottle of wine.
And everyone who's ever been on a girls trip can definitely relate.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. One of the things I noticed that you do also, you're working with Wolf Trap and other projects with young children.
Absolutely.
And so what's the connection there, and how are you using music to help them?
Wonderful. Well, it's a privilege to be able to cross over my teaching background with music. So I'll work with Virginia Arts for Learning, young audiences of Virginia, and some of their programming, which includes Wolf Trap, in which I get to Wolf Trap, I get to work with teachers on how to incorporate music and the arts in the classroom. And with Arts for Learning, there are lots of opportunities in which I get to teach kids how to use art form for their social, emotional well-being, being able to pour themselves out into the arts. And so it's been a wonderful opportunity, something that is very crucial to supporting artists in Virginia, where we have an opportunity to bring in an income while using our art. So I'm very grateful to be a part of that.
Why is it so important for us to continue to bring the arts into the classroom?
Well, I think people underestimate how much power the arts has in the economy. Mm-hmm. You know, we always look at it secondary, as like, oh, go to a concert, but it doesn't seem like a primary economics is like groceries and bills and things of that nature, and jobs but people often underestimate the power of the arts when it comes to the economy and growth in the community. And so we can't get the symphony on the beach, we can't get festivals and concerts if we're not introducing them to our children now. Right. Like, they need to start now, and then that's where we get the great things that we get to enjoy from.
So if someone listening today is an aspiring songwriter or an aspiring performer, what advice would you give them?
You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. I just told someone that. I just told a friend of mine that, a dear friend of mine. They were at the concert the other day, and they love doing music, and they've been wanting to play guitar. And she had the opportunity to talk with my husband, and he encouraged her. He was like, "What if you're really good at it?" And so I've been so proud of her that she's taken that leap of faith to begin. And that's one of my favorite quotes. I can't quote you on who says that, so I apologize for that. But that's one of my favorite quotes, is that you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great.
Absolutely, because if you never start, you don't know your potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about family support? How critical is that to helping you in this journey?
Man, being an independent artist, being an artist in general, there's a lot of bandwidth, takes up a lot of your mental space. And so if having a family, having a husband who is as supportive as he is, shout out to my husband, Nick, love you, babe. To have a husband who's as supportive as he is, to have kiddos who are down to enjoy the ride and help mommy. Like, we really just support each other in our journeys. That's great. And that's one less emotional weight to carry when you have a home, when you have a loving family. My mom and my sister and my future brother-in-law were at my show on Tuesday. Aww. All of their friends, they all came out support. They had their cowgirl hats on, they had the boots, they had girl trip t-shirts. So to have family, shout out to them too. Love you, Mom, love my sister, Deborah, and all our friends and family, and Deborah and Ellen and so many more who came out. it really does ease the burden that you have to bear, because you can't. I like to use the term interdependent artist, honestly, because you're really not independent if you're if we're honest about that. There takes a lot of community support in order for artists to get.
Now, you grew up in Hampton?
In Norfolk.
Oh, in Norfolk.
I'm a Norfolk girl.
Oh,
right
okay.
here.
Right here in Norfolk. See, all kinds of great things come out of Norfolk. You know, and it's just wonderful. So, where, any place you're performing next that people can
Franklin.
come? Okay.
Franklin, Virginia.
Here, shout out to Franklin, Virginia.
Out
you
to
hear
Franklin,
that?
Virginia.
Where are you going to be? Do you know?
It's called Music for Dessert. At the Franklin Arts Center.
Okay.
The Franklin Arts Center, if I'm quoting it correctly, because there are so many like Cultural Arts Center and Center of Cultural Arts and that I've been to. But Franklin Arts Center, next Wednesday, March 26th.
March 26th. At what time?
At what time does our show start? 6 p.m.?
At 6 p.m.
Yeah, let's call it 6.
Okay.
Make sure you get there early.
That's right. Make sure you get there early. Make sure you come and participate. Roberta, it has been such a pleasure.
Absolutely.
We have been trying to get you on the
And
show, and we finally
here.
made it happen. Absolutely. Congratulations on your success thus far. And don't forget us when you really soar
Never will.
way past.
Never will.
That is country music singer, songwriter Roberta Lea. We're going to go back to Pledge Central because we need to chat, audience, because we need your help, don't we,
That's
Lisa?
right. We absolutely need your help. We're about halfway to our goal right now. We do have 7 new members who have pledged their support. We're excited about that.
Yes, thank you for those who pledge.
We're about halfway to where we need to be, though. So I do want to read a couple of things. Regina from Suffolk called and said she loves Another View and Barbara Ham Lee and the many wonderful programs on WHRV. She said, keep it coming. We've heard from Robert Sanchez. He says he loves Another View and all the programs here. Thank you, Barbara Ham Lee. We appreciate you and keep up the great work. Thank you. The person says being retired. It was an anonymous person. They said being retired, they listen all day and we have wonderful programs and they are very grateful.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you to everyone who made their pledge of support. Those of you who listen to us every week, we really appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that you tune in and that you're gaining things from us, but we also need you to become a member if you can. I know times are scary right now. People are worried about their finances and so forth, but if you can spare a few dollars, because you can come in at any amount. The beautiful thing about becoming a member of WHRO Public Media is that there's no bottom. In other words, you can join and become at a level that is comfortable for you. So if you appreciate the programming that we're doing, if it's important to you, then please consider becoming a member. 1-800-940-7170 is the number to call and become a member of WHRO Public Media. Or you can go online to whro.org. And you know what? If you do that between now, we got almost 2 minutes left in the show. We will get that credit for that $2,000 pledge, or match. So help us to reach that goal. We really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for spending an hour of your life with us. A very special thank you to those who made your pledge of support. And don't forget, you still have time. 800-940-7170. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. As we say goodbye, remember, you can make your pledge of support. 1-800-940-7170. Let's get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.